Good morning. We're continuing with the laws of Hanukkah. We're on Taf Reish Ayin Aleph Zayin. We're in the middle, 671-7, and we're continuing our discussion about lighting Hanukkah lights in the synagogue. In addition to lighting Hanukkah candles at home, there's a custom to light Hanukkah candles in the synagogue, and the person who leads davening, leads the prayers, usually lights the Hanukkah candles. So last time we discussed how exactly we light the candles in the synagogue. So look to the last class for that. But basically, it's in the front of the shul, to the right of the aron, and it is one lights with his back to the south wall, and starting on the right side with the candle which is closest to the aron. So you'll have the Torah here, and then you'll have the menorah like this. And if you want to see a diagram, just look back to the last class. But now, when in synagogue do we light the candles? And let's learn some other of the laws associated with lighting the Hanukkah lights in the synagogue. So says the Ramah, Ve'ein adam yotzi b'neres shel beis hakneses. A person does not fulfill his obligation of lighting Hanukkah candles if he lights in the synagogue. So if you are serving as the chazan, you're serving as the shliach tzibor, the cantor, and you're leading services, and you light the Hanukkah candles for the synagogue, you still have to go home and light after. When you have to go back and light at home. Says the Mishnah Berurah on this. So there is a requirement that everyone lights Hanukkah lights in his house. Nevertheless, let's say one is lighting on the first night of Hanukkah. He is lighting in the synagogue, and then he goes home. So there's a difference between the first night of Hanukkah and the rest of the nights of Hanukkah. On the first night of Hanukkah, we have a third blessing of Shechianu. Shechianu, we thank Hashem for bringing us to this holy day, and it's only made on the first day of Hanukkah. So if you make the Shechianu blessing in the shul, when you go home, you don't make it again, unless you are exempting your wife and children with the lighting. So let's say you live alone, and you serve as the shliach tzibor, you're leading the prayers, and you light the menorah on the first night of Hanukkah in the shul, and then you go home and you live alone, you would not make another shechianu blessing. But if you are exempting your family with the mitzvah, then you would make another shechianu blessing. Okay. Continues the Ramah. V'noagim lahadlik b'beis hakneses bein mincha ma'ariv. The custom is that we light in shul between mincha and ma'ariv, between the afternoon and the evening service. V'yesh noagim lahadlik be'erev Shabbos Kodem Mincha. He says, though, on Friday, because obviously Shabbos is coming, we don't light the Hanukkah candles on Shabbos, that some are accustomed to light the candles before Mincha on Shabbos. V'imrotzim lemaher, okay, we'll learn more about that. V'imrotzim lemaher lehispala la'acher shabir hashatz v'hidlik echad mehem yachol hashamish lahalik hanisharim v'shash yitzpala. For some reason, the one leading the davening is in a rush. I guess there's a valid reason. And he is allowed to make the blessing on the candles, light the first candle, and have the shamish, the gabbai of the shul, finish lighting. Now, the reason he can do that is because, as we mentioned before, the main mitzvah of lighting Hanukkah lights is one candle. Really, according to the letter of the law, one is only obligated to light one candle per night. So if for some reason the cantor is in a rush, he can light the first light, and then somebody else could light the other lights. So let's see what the Mishnah Berurah says on this. So why do we light in general between Mincha and Ma'ariv and Shul? Even according to those who have the custom to light at Seiso Kachavim, we're going to learn in a few days when exactly. Right now we're talking about when do we light the Hanukkah lights in Shul, but in a few days, God willing, we'll talk about at home what is the best time to light the Hanukkah lights. That should be in, I think by Tuesday we should be up to that. But in shul, one should light between mincha and ma'ariv. And he says, even those who have a custom to light later should still do it in the shul between mincha and ma'ariv. The reason after mincha is because that's when people are. And he says the reason we don't do it after Ma'ariv, after the evening services, is because we don't want people to be delayed to go home and light, right? Everyone's got to run home after Ma'ariv to light the Hanukkah candles, so we don't want to have the after Marv to light the candles in Shul so that everyone should be delayed. So the proper time in Shul is to light between Mincha and Marv. But he says on Erev Shabbos, on Friday, it is proper to light them before Mincha. Some people light before Mincha. V'chein kasav Rashal. But the Ramah writes that it is not our custom to light Hanukkah lights in Shul on Friday before Mincha. Ela af be'erev Shabbos madlikim bebeis haKnesses. But also on Friday, on Erev Shabbos, we should also light the candles between Mincha and Marv. Now, what's the reason? It's when people start to gather. And there is we publicize the miracle. However, if the people are coming late to Shul, and soon as a minyan comes, it's going to be Shabbos. Lo yamtin klal el yivarch v'yad miyad afilu kodem mincha. Now, so in that case, if people are coming to Shul late and it's already Shabbos by the time they get there, then you should light before, and even if it's before Mincha, the mikol makam ika persume nisa kishaboyim achar kach lebeis haknesses v'royim haneres ule'inyan yachid ayin lekamun. So he says that we can light Erev Shabbos before Mincha if Shabbos is coming, and even though there's not a lot of people in Shul at that time, there will be persume nisa when people come later. So again, the issue of lighting on Erev Shabbos is that you're not allowed to light the candles on Shabbos. It's a very big sin to light a fire on Shabbos. So therefore, we have to be very careful to light the candles before Shabbos. And then we said, V'im rotzim l'maher. Let's say somebody is in a rush, the cantor is in a rush, so we said he can light one candle and the shamish could light the other candles. But only in this way. But if there's no pressing reason, the one lighting the Hanukkah candle should finish all of the candles, because when you start a mitzvah, you should finish it. Like we mentioned, v'hashar eina ela hidur mitzvah ba'alma v'hu adin bebeso kishemizdam lo eze davar nachotz la'achar shehidlik echem mehem yachol achar lahashlim b'shvilo eshar eneres. So he says also the same rule applies at home. Let's say you're at home and you make the blessing on the candles and you light one candle, and then some emergency happens. You have to stop in the middle. So you're allowed, after you light one candle, then you can leave and have someone else finish, because the main mitzvah is just on that one candle. It's a beautification of the mitzvah when we light the other candles. Okay, so we just learned about lighting in Shul, that the best time to light is between Mincha and Marv, and that even if you make the blessing in Shul, you make the blessing at home. The only exception is the Shehechionu prayer if you live alone. You don't make it when you get home on the first day, but otherwise you would make it. And we learned that you don't light Hanukkah candles on Shabbos. And in a few days we'll learn, that's all for Shul, but we'll learn in a few days what is the best time to light Hanukkah candles, and does it make a difference if you're using oil or if you're using wax. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend.